Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something, well, fundamental. Control and coordination in living things.
Absolutely. How organisms react, how they sense things, from a plant bending towards light to, our own complex nervous system.
And we'll even touch on the physics of light itself, how we actually perceive color. We've got some science texts here, and our mission is to sort of pull out the really cool insights.
Sounds good. And a big part of it is movement, isn't it? It's often the most obvious sign that something's alive, responding.
Like a seedling pushing up soil, or a cat running.
Exactly. Or even just plants growing towards the sun. It's all about reacting to the environment, usually for some advantage.
But it's not just random movement. It's controlled, coordinated, like touching something hot, you don't decide to pull back, you just do, instantly.
That requires a system, right?
Yeah.
Something to recognize the stimulus and trigger the right action. Multicellular life evolved specialized tissues for this.
And in animals, that's primarily the nervous system working with muscles.
Precisely. Think about that hot object again. Receptors in your skin's specialized nerve endings detect the heat. Bang! Signal sent.
We have similar receptors for taste, smell, sound, constantly gathering info.
And that info travels as an electrical impulse along nerve cells or neurons.
How does that work exactly, the transmission?
Well, it starts often as a chemical reaction at the receiving end, the dendrite, which triggers an electrical signal down the axon.
Okay.
Then, at the gap between neurons, the synapse, it triggers the release of chemicals, which cross the gap and start a new electrical signal in the next neuron. It's electrochemical electro.
Wow. Surprisingly complex, but fast.
Incredibly fast,
Yeah.
which is vital for reflexes, those automatic responses.
Like blinking. Or mouth-watering when you smell something good.
Yeah, or jumping when startled. They happen without conscious thought. A shortcut, really.
The reflex arc.
That's the one. The signal often just goes from the sensory nerve to the spinal cord and directly to a motor nerve. Bypasses the brain for speed in urgent situations.
Though the brain does eventually get the message right.
Oh, absolutely. You become aware of the heat after you've pulled your hand away, but the immediate action is handled by the arc.
Clever design. So the brain is the main command center then? Part of the central nervous system with the spinal cord?
Yes. It integrates all the incoming information and allows for voluntary actions, things we consciously decide to do based on thinking.
And it talks to the muscles via the peripheral nervous system.
Right, the nerves branching out from the brain and spinal cord. The brain itself has different regions. The forebrain for thinking and sensory input, and the mid and hindbrain handling other stuff.
Like involuntary actions, breathing, heartbeat.
Exactly. The medulla in the hindbrain handles a lot of that. And the cerebellum, also in the hindbrain, is crucial for coordinating voluntary movements, making them precise and for balance.
Like walking a straight line or picking up a pencil smoothly.
And all this vital nervous tissue is really well protected. The brain's in the skull, cushioned by fluid, and the spinal cord runs through the vertebrae.
And when that nerve signal finally reaches a muscle,
it causes specialized proteins within the muscle cells to change shape and arrangement, making the muscle fiber contract or shorten. That's the movement.
Okay, but what about plants? No nerves, no muscles. How do they manage?
They still respond, just differently. Two main types of movement. One linked to growth, like a root growing down.
Geotropism, right? And shoots towards light, phototropism.
Yes. And then there's movement independent of growth. The classic example is the sensitive plant, Mimosa pudica.
Ah, the one that folds its leaves when you touch it. How?
It's fascinating. It uses electrical and chemical signals, believe it or not, transmitted through the plant, causing cells in specific areas to rapidly lose or gain water. That changes their shape and makes the leaves fold. No muscles needed.
So changes in water pressure? That's clever.
And the growth movements, like tendrils coiling, happen because one side grows faster than the other in response to touch or light.
And plants coordinate all this, plus flowering, fruiting, etc., using hormones, right?
Yeah.
Chemical messengers.
Exactly. Like auxin, made at the shoot tip, helps cells elongate so the shoot bends towards light. Gibberellins help stems grow. Cytokinins promote cell division. And abscisic acid actually inhibits growth, like causing wilting or dormancy.
Animals use hormones too, of course, a second layer of control.
Definitely. Think adrenaline, the fight or flight response. Released from the adrenal glands, travels in the blood, affects multiple organs simultaneously. Heart rate up, breathing faster, blood diverted to muscles.
A body-wide alert system.
Pretty much. The endocrine system, the collection of glands producing hormones, regulates longer-term things too. Growth, metabolism via thyroxine from the thyroid.
Needs iodine for that, right? Otherwise, goiter.
Correct. Also, growth hormone from the pituitary, sex hormones like testosterone and estrogen triggering puberty changes, and insulin from the pancreas controlling blood sugar.
And that's often regulated by feedback loops, isn't it? Like high blood sugar triggers insulin release, which lowers blood sugar.
Precisely. It keeps things in balance.
Okay, let's shift gears completely. Talk about how we perceive the world, starting with light itself. It travels in straight lines, we say rays.
And it bounces off surfaces, reflection, like a mirror. Simple plane mirrors give virtual upright images. Curved mirrors, concave and convex, are different.
Concave mirrors can focus light, used in torches, dentists' mirrors. Convex mirrors always give smaller upright images, like in car wing mirrors, wider view.
Right. And then there's refraction light bending when it passes from one medium to another, like air to water or through a lens. That's because its speed changes.
That's why a pencil in a glass of water looks bent.
Exactly. And it's how lenses work to focus light. Snell's law describes how much it bends.
And a prism uses refraction to split white light into colors.
It does. Different wavelengths, different colors of light, bend by slightly different amounts. That's dispersion. Creates the spectrum VIBGYOR.
Like a rainbow, water droplets acting as tiny prisms.
Dispersion and internal reflection inside the droplets. Atmospheric refraction also causes effects like stars twinkling.
Because the air density fluctuates, bending the light path randomly.
Yes. And it makes the sun appear slightly earlier at sunrise and later at sunset. Light scattering by air particles is also why the sky is blue. That blue light scatters more. Red light scatters least, hence danger signals.
Which brings us, finally, to the human eye, our light detector.
A bit like a camera, really. Light enters through the cornea, then the lens focuses it onto the retina at the back.
And the iris controls the pupil size, adjusting the light.
Yep, the retina has light-sensitive cells, rods and cones that convert light into electrical signals. These travel along the optic nerve to the brain.
Which interprets these signals as images. And the eye can change focus, right? Accommodation.
Yes, the ciliary muscles change the shape of the lens. Thicker for near objects, thinner for distant ones. Problems like myopia, nearsightedness, or hypermetropia, farsightedness, happen when the focus isn't quite right on the retina, corrected with lenses.
It's just incredible. The coordination within an organism, the physics allowing perception, nerves, hormones, light waves, lenses, all working together.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How different animals have adapted their systems, how we might interface technology with biology in the future.
And just the sheer complexity behind seeing a sunrise, millennia of evolution, fundamental physics. What other everyday miracles are we missing?
That's the question to ponder. Until next time.